Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's going on? I am Matt O'Leary hanging out with you on a sunny but a little bit chilly when I was outside earlier. Wednesday afternoon. What's going on? I am Matt O'Leary. We're going to be hanging out together, talking some New York Jets football, previewing a little bit about the New York Jets and Denver Broncos. That game is coming up on Sunday, late afternoon. The Jets' first experience with the 4 o'clock window. If you know me, you know I don't love that. Give me the Sunday at 1. That's my absolute favorite thing in the entire world. Sunday, 1 o'clock, CBS intro. That's all I want in life. And unfortunately, we're not getting it because the Jets are going to the West Coast. So what I wanted to get into in today's episode, we're going to get into more of a breakdown of what I think the Jets game plan should be, and everything that we normally do on the previews on Thursday. So we'll have you covered more in depth tomorrow. But there's a storyline from this game that I want to talk about, and it's the young quarterback in Zach Wilson. Zach did not throw the ball very much against the Green Bay Packers. They didn't need to. They still hung 27 points on the Packers, and they did it because Breece Hall was unstoppable, and they averaged 5.5 yards a carry. There was no reason to run the ball. To throw the ball. Obviously, there's reason to run the ball. They couldn't stop it. The Packers could not stop the run. So they kept feeding Breece Hall, and it worked. Even Michael Carter, he only had 6 carries, but he was up over 40 yards. It was a great day. But now you've seen some criticism of, with Zach Wilson, do you trust him? Do they not trust him because they're not throwing the ball? And that's a whole nother debate and a whole nother thing that I guess we can get into at another time. That's not really what I want to discuss today. What I really want to get into is my expectations for Zach in this game and why I think, again, I don't expect the Jets to throw the ball a lot for the third week in a row, and that's okay. Because what's more important is winning football games. And right now they're on a 3-game win streak. And when you look at the Denver Broncos and that opposing defense, they're pretty damn good. Let's pull it up. According to Football Outsiders, in team defense, when looking at passing, the best defense in terms of pass DVOA, the Denver Broncos. That's right. The Denver Broncos are first. But if you look and see, rushing right next to it, 18. Hopefully you're watching this live or watching on YouTube after the fact because I got some visuals going. But if you're audio only, I'll talk through it for you, but that's what you're missing out on the YouTube, unfortunately. 18th is much more doable. And when you look at what this defense has done against some really good quarterbacks, it's a little frightening. We'll pull it up right now. We'll get into the last game the Denver Broncos played on October 17th. Monday Night Football, baby. Not that long ago. It was a rough day for Justin Herbert. 37 of 57, 238 yards. 238 yards on 57 attempts. That's nothing. That's just over 4.2 yards per attempt. And 37 of 57, what is that completion percentage-wise? 64.9, pretty good. But Herbert couldn't get the ball down the field at all. No touchdowns, 1 pick. 66.3 rating, and this is one of the best quarterbacks in football. You want to go back the week prior? Denver Broncos against, granted, it's against the Indianapolis Colts, and Matt Ryan's looked pretty horrific so far this year, but 251 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, 251. We'll do a little quick math here. On 41 attempts, that's 6.1 yards per attempt. And 26 of 41 is a 63.4 completion percentage, but no touchdowns, 2 picks. How about the week prior to that? What did the Denver Broncos do then? Against the Raiders. Okay, the Raiders, this is probably the best game that any team has had against Denver this year. And the Broncos scored 23 points, which is the most that they scored so far this year. Derek Carr, 188 yards on 34 passes. Quick math tells you 188 divided by 34. That's 5.5 yards per attempt. They're not able to get the ball down the field, but how about rushing? Jacobs ran the ball 28 times for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. You got another 40 yards from Carr, 24 yards from White. Okay. I think we're learning something here. What's the recipe for success? San Francisco didn't do anything in that game, and that's a veteran in Jimmy Garoppolo. 18 of 29, 211 yards. Hey, a passing touchdown, though. Another interception. 211 yards on 29 attempts is a 7.27, 7.3 yards per attempt. So that's not bad. But only 29 passing attempts. And they ran the ball relatively well. Jeff Wilson, 75 yards on 12 carries, 75 divided by 12. That's a 6.25 yards per attempt. Probably should have tried to run the ball more. Let's go back further. How about week 2 against the Texans? Davis Mills, obviously not great, but 38 attempts, 177 yards. That's 4.7 yards per attempt. Are you noticing a trend here? A little bit of success running the ball, but not nearly enough. And then in week 1, Seattle put up 17 points. Geno, 195 yards, 28 attempts, 6.96 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, no picks. This was the best quarterbacked game so far against the Denver Broncos. And it's Geno. What? Isn't that wild? Geno Smith. What a resurrection to his career. So maybe we're learning something here. To me, I don't know how you could go out and say, oh, well, like, yeah, we're complaining that Zach Wilson's not really throwing the ball a whole lot. It hasn't looked great the last couple weeks. But now against the toughest team to throw against in the league, now's the big test. That doesn't seem fair. That doesn't seem logical. How do you not say, okay, Breece Hall has been fantastic the last 2 weeks. We're going to run him 15 plus times again, probably closer to 20 like it was last week. Michael Carter was great last week on his 6 carries. They're going to try to run the football. And when you do throw, because obviously I'm not saying throw 0 times, you're still going to have to throw probably 20 to 25 times would be my guess. I don't think it's going to be 18 like we saw again this past week against the Packers. But if you're expecting that 250 plus or 300-yard passing game with a couple touchdowns, that's not the team. Denver is not the team or the defense to expect that kind of production. It's not. And the ultimate goal is to continue to win football games, right? So the best way to do that is by running the football. It's, in my opinion, going to project to be a low-scoring game. I think the first team to 20 points probably wins this game. With how the Jets defense has been playing, with how bad Russell Wilson's been, with the fact that they may be starting a backup quarterback, I like the Jets' chances in a low-scoring game. 20-14, 20-13, something like that. But this is going to be a defense and run the ball day. This is not going to be a Zach throw the ball 30 to 35 times a day. And I just hope people realize that, because people could be in for a rude awakening on Sunday if they are expecting different. Let's get into the comment section. Thank you so much. Biker Ray saying good vibes. Love that. Matzo, did Sauce almost have a pick 6? I heard him mention it in his postgame interview, but didn't see it. Yeah, early on in that game against Pittsburgh. JK says the best part about this team is the fact that they really don't have to sign a lot of this core besides Q for another 3 years, at least enough salary cap to go into win now mode. Yeah, I've seen on Twitter a lot actually where it's like, oh, the Jets might have a real problem in a few years. This is the same dumb argument that we were talking about with LaFleur, right? Remember when it was, you're going to hire LaFleur and then he's going to be gone because someone's going to hire him as a head coach. That's such a good first world problem to have. We got John Finnegan, who is the newest member of the channel. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support as always. Sneakers to boots. Zach's got to manage this game. Screw the haters. Eat these W's. Agree. Trend the Great. I'd rather play RW than any backup Denver has. Wilson has played like dog doo-doo since he's became a Bronco. Yeah, I'm genuinely shocked just how bad Russell Wilson's been so far this year. Unreal. Chris says, I expect Zach to have another Green Bay game. Denver has solid pass defense, struggles with the run. Just run it down their throats and win games. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Exactly. And I'm not saying, like, please don't get this misconstrued. I'm not saying that Zach is only going to throw the ball 15 times the rest of his career. He's only going to have 100, 150 passing yards every single week. No. But sometimes that's what the game plan calls for. And he's not turning the ball over. In his last 8 starts, he's had 1 game with interceptions. And both of those picks, he has 2 picks in 8 games. And both of those picks came in the same game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The first one was bad. Put that on him. He should not have thrown that football. Second one literally went off of Tyler Conklin's hands. I don't know what else you could do. J-Man says they only had 1 game where either team went above 20 points. Isn't that nuts? That's wild. And it came in the same game. It was the game where Denver's offense exploded for 23 points. With how the Jets defense has been playing, I absolutely think they could hold them under 20 points again. I really do. John says, I hate the 4:00 window as well, but Ian Eagle on the call is a great consolation. He is fantastic. I want to say that Ian Eagle does just such a good job. I am very excited. Hey, how about that? The Jets winning some football games, and now the last couple of weeks, you're going to have Ian Eagle on the call this upcoming week. And last week, you had our guy KB. You got to love it. Scott says, something to say for Zach. The weather was not ideal. True. We even saw Aaron struggle with it, like on the go ball to Jones. He let him out of bounds. Yes, it's true. I didn't think it wasn't really a great day for Aaron Rodgers either. So, like, again, I think just people are so harsh and want to just jump down his throat. They're winning football games right now and not particularly close. They beat the Green Bay Packers, a team a lot of people had going to the Super Bowl out of the NFC, by 17 in their own building in Lambeau. They beat a divisional opponent 40-17 the week before that, man. It's crazy. Trin and Chris are going back and forth in here in the comments. He was talking about Russell Wilson being bad, and Chris thought he was talking about Zach, and that was funny. Love it. Sneakers to Boot says, really hope Brett Rippon, or Josh Johnson prove a spark to the Broncos offense. Doesn't. Doesn't. Oh God. We're having a tough day, comment section. It's okay. I'm a little tired today too. Jet Henning says, we got to get the ball in Garrett Wilson's hands more. Yep. Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore, I think, should get some more design touches. Easy. And there's no reason that you can't get Elijah Moore and end around. They do one to Braxton every week. It works, but we saw it. Elijah scored on one of those last year. Throw him a bubble screen. Why not? Jack is a Broncos fan. He says, Jets fans, I'm a Broncos fan. I want to warn you guys. I know Denver looks bad, but don't buy the media hype. And then he follows up with, the D is good. And I'm telling you, they can get Zach, and you guys can easily lose this game. I think they're just going to run the ball. I would think that you run the ball. And again, I don't think the Jets are going to run away with this game, but there's a reason why it's pretty close to a pick 'em. It opened at 3, and now it's down to, I think, 1 point on the point spread. We'll look later on. But yeah, Denver's a very tough place to play. They haven't looked good. But if the Jets defense plays the way that they have the last few weeks, I think they'll be fine. Low scoring game. J-Man wants to see Jeremy Ruckert. He says maybe we can get to see Ruckert out there run blocking this week. That'd be nice. We're seeing a lot more CJ Uzama, so they're listening to us there. That's good. Duncan, he has a recipe for success. 3-second drop, 60-40 run to pass ratio, safe plays, scheme to defense you are facing. So easy. Scott wants to know, are we wearing white and black again? Yeah, you gotta ride it until it stops working, right? They've been playing too well. Sneakers the Boot says, definitely going to be an interesting day on Sunday with the late start, few whiskeys deep before the start. Oh, easily. You guys know me. I'll be there too. I'll be right there with you, Sneakers to Boots. It's going to be, it'll be nice. And you know what? I probably if there was ever a week for it to happen, I'm glad that it's this week. I have a wedding on Saturday, and I'm in the wedding party for it, so Saturday is gonna be a long night, and, I might be a little bit not at 100% on Sunday, so the later start, if there was ever a time that I needed a later start, I'll take it this week. Jet Henning says, "People wanna be mad at Zach for not getting a lot of passing yards, but we were running the ball really well." Yeah, you know what is so wild? There were so many people complaining that the Jets were throwing the ball too much in the first 3 weeks of the year, and then now Zach is back, and it's now you're not throwing enough. It's just people just can't be happy no matter what. They're winning. It's working great. I don't know. We got Gohanagrid. This name always throws me off. I don't know why, but it just does. I say put Garrett at the other wide receiver spot and put Moore back in the slot. I would like that too. The Jets, for some reason, love Garrett in the slot, and he's not a bad slot receiver. Obviously, he's flashed there, but I think Elijah Moore does his best work in the slot. And like, why everything with Elijah Moore is 15, 20 yards down the field and forcing him to the boundary. That's not where he's at his best. Get him over the middle of the field, get him the ball in space, and let him go to work. I missed this first comment from Scott. He says, "We like the end around to Braxton because it turns into a pseudo return." That's true. He sets up his blockers very well. Yeah, he does. He's another one who's good with the ball in his hands. Jets got to remember the salty taste in their mouth they had last year on the flight home getting goose egged. Yeah, I give this Jets coaching staff and this team a lot of credit for the motivation. They've gotten themselves up, whether it be the Tyreek Hill comments from in the offseason, but that they remembered. Um, this past week with Jair Alexander saying they had the perfect game plan. Jets had no chance. The Packers picked the Jets to play after their London game and decided not to take a bye week. Like they're remembering that stuff. And now I hope you remember the game last year because that was one of the hardest football games I've had to watch as a Jet fan. It was awful. Nick H says Quan Alexander has been really good, underrated signing by JD. I agree. I loved Quan Alexander. His snaps went way down this past week with Quincy back. Now, Quincy was fantastic. He was great. It was a great Quincy Williams week. Missed tackles went way, 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 way down. Um, there was no errors in coverage for Quincy either. He was fantastic. That might be Quincy's best game as a Jet. But I don't want to forget about Quan because I think it's important just how good he is. We got a couple super chats in here. Shout out Wantagh, Nassau County, go Jets. I'm in Nassau as well, Tom. Love that. Enjoy. Love Wantagh. I have cousins in Seaford, so that's really not too far from Wantagh. So love it. Thank you for hanging out. Chris, he's here. He says Brees and Carter in the backfield, motion more to the backfield, screen pass to Moore. I know it's a crazy scheme idea, but if it worked, it's sexy. Not gonna lie. Yeah, it is, Chris. I like that. The two running backs on the field at the same time is something that I've been asking the Jets to do probably since the Bilal Powell, Ty Montgomery days. Like I was like, these are a couple of guys who really they should be able to do some damage. And now's another opportunity. These guys are even better than what they had back then, but both can catch out of the backfield. Both are explosive with the football in their hand. I like the one where the touchdown play where Brees was lined up as a wide receiver, gets motioned in, takes the ball, hits up the middle, and is off. Did you guys see the picture, by the way? And thanks again for the super chat, Chris. I appreciate it. Of the Packers defense trying to chase Brees Hall. This is one of the best pictures that I've maybe ever seen. Hang on, I'm gonna get it up on here. I'll share it on the screen for you guys in case you haven't seen it. There are literally, we'll count the defenders in this picture. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of 11 guys are in this picture chasing Brees, and there's not a Jet in sight. That's great. Oh, that's awesome, man. I love it. We got a couple super chats again. Chris comes back. Thank you again. As a follow up to my last teams before the motion would expect a run. Think about it. Yeah, they would. They would. And then that's why you would pass and you'd get everyone crashing in and a little dump off to Elijah. And once again, getting Elijah in space is the key, right? That's when he's at his best. Just dump it right over. I loved the screen pass to Uzama last week. Stuff like that. Why can't you do that with Elijah? And both Conklin and Uzama, they're good with the ball in their hands for bigger guys. They can move, but why not with the speed of Elijah or Garrett, man? Get your quarterback easy completions, get his confidence going, move the ball in the right direction. Chris, you're onto something here. I really like that. Jack gets in on the fun. Shout out to my boy Tom. Wanta on top, baby. Go Jets. We got more Wanta in the house. All right. I love it. No, that pick is, John says, I thought that pick was photoshopped. I don't think so. The NFL tweeted it out. I'm going to see if I could go back and find the whole thing because there was 4 pictures in this tweet set. I want to see if I can go back and find it. I'm scrolling. Yeah, here we go. Let's pull this up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on. Come on, man. That's nuts. That's insane. Brees Hall is so good. He's been incredibly fun. It feels like he's getting better week over week. Chris says the whole damn defense can't bring him down. Brees the beast. John says the Denver going to be highly motivated. John from Old Brookville. Thank you, John, for the comment. They are going to be motivated. They're a desperate team, and I think their defense will play well. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, and I think if the Jets keep it a low scoring game, then that's great. I think that's a recipe for success. John says hammering a Zerloin prop this week. In that altitude? Come on. Yeah, you might as well. Might as well get in on the fun. Ain says, do you think we deserve to be 3-point dogs? No, I don't. And I think the line is moved. We'll pull it up right now. Give it a second. I'll tell you what the current line is at BUSR, which is the official sports book of Matt O'Leary and why. We'll get us in here and we'll take a look at what the current line is. It has moved around a little bit. It initially opened at 3, which I thought was high. I think it should be closer to a pick 'em, which I think that's probably what it is right now. It's at 2 on BUSR currently. So let's do. And oh my God, come on. I just had it. Let's scroll down. It is 2 points. The Jets are plus 103 on the money line. Over under at 30.5 seems high too, by the way. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of scoring in this game. Duncan says Denver was highly motivated, like Green Bay was. Trent says if you're Joe Douglas trading Bryce Hall, excuse me. What's an offer you even bother entertaining for him? I don't think I would take anything less than a 3rd round pick. I'm not looking to move him. I think depth is important. It stinks that he can't get on the field. I like Bryce Hall, but I don't think you should just give him up for nothing. Jets could honestly sit back at this trade deadline and let things pan out. They got a good amount of picks, etc. They don't have to freak out and make a move right now. That's my stance on it. I really just want the Jets to kind of stay put and see what this young team has. I'm good with that. I know that might sound a little nuts, where it's like, oh well, now's the time to cash in, get in on this team that's playing, that's playing really good football right now. But that's not what I would want to do. I want to see this young team just continue to work well together. J-Man says a lot of sports talk shows are on the Jets nuts right now. I hope the boys don't let it get to their head, but it's nice to be appreciated. It is. I think I think they deserve it, and I think they've done a good job of staying level-headed. So, fair concern, J-Man, but I'm not there yet. Sean says, "Do you think Russ is actually going to play this week?" I think I'd still be surprised. I know he's trying to, but that's a hamstring for a quarterback is very important. For any football player is extremely important. I don't know if it's a lock that he's playing. It's your boy says a three and 2/4 for Hall. Okay. Alex TS, do you think the Jets will make the playoffs this year? If they go into the bye week at 6-3, then I think they have a really good chance. Their next 3 games before the bye are Denver, obviously, New England after that, and then Buffalo. 5-4, I still think you have a shot at 5-4. 4-5, I hope they don't lose the next 3 straight. I don't think they do. I would say probably not at 4-5, but at 5-4 or 6-3, then I think you have a pretty good shot too. Or 7-2, let's get nuts. Trent says the only reason I want Russell Wilson to play over backup is so we don't hear that dumbass, oh, you only won because you beat the backup comment for another week. It's wild. Jet wants to know, trade Mekhi Becton. I don't think he has any value. I don't know if you're going to be able to trade Mekhi Becton. Chris, did you send the super chat? I'm sorry if I missed. Yes, you did. Okay, let me go back. Thank you for the reminder up here. To my last of last, all tight ends on the field, except more. There we go. We got the final piece of the puzzle here from Chris. Thanks for the reminder, my man. Yeah. All tight ends on the field except okay. So heavy tight end, heavy running back, and Moore is the only receiver. Yeah, people are going to think that's a run. People are definitely going to think that's a run. Sammy says we need to trade Becton. I understand. I don't think you can rely on him to be a starter going into next year. I just don't think you're going to be able to get anyone to bite after he missed 2 straight years. J-Man says, with the change in our defensive play, do you think Salah has had any hand in that, or is Ulbrich just finding his footing? You know what? I think we have to give Ulbrich some credit here. It would be very easy to say that, oh, Salah just got involved. Maybe he did, but if we're gonna be hard on Ulbrich, which rightfully so, we were. I think you also have to show him some credit. He's done a really good job the last few weeks. So yeah, let's show Ulbrich some love. He was someone who was on the hot seat. It was extremely, extremely hot, but the last few weeks, you can't ask for too much better. Last 3 weeks, they've been excellent. JK says, want to see Zach rip 150 plus yards more often. Just have Garrett Wilson or Corey Davis go up and grab it. Yeah, I would like that. I'm definitely in on that. Denzel Mims, what's up, Mim? Says, any Madden content this year? Nah, that was a COVID thing. I think Richie did some Madden content for a little bit. That's not really my forte. It was like Madden 2007. Now we're talking. Jet Hennings now asked anything for Denzel Mims. Awkward to talk about him when he's here in the chat, but I think that Denzel, if someone's offering you like anything remotely close to a package you'd even consider, then yes, I think that is that it's probably best for both these teams to move on. I liked Mims coming out of the draft. I liked Mims his first year. I still think there's talent there. Something's not clicking for him here. And with his coaching staff, I think it's just better for both to move on. After what DJ, this is Zachary, by the way. He says after what DJ Reed said after week 3 game against the defense changed. That's true. That's very true. He pointed out the Jets' issues and they cleaned it up. He's been a leader. DJ Reed has been 100% been a leader, and you got to love it. One of the better Joe Douglas signings that he's had. If we had to categorize Zach Wilson, is he elite franchise quarterback, above average game manager, try again in the draft / free agency? Right now it's in the game manager mode, I would say. You obviously hope it takes that jump to franchise quarterback level. But as of right now, I would say game manager. Brian's in the chat says, let's go Yankees. Huge win yesterday, taking on the Astros in the ALCS now. You know, I'm not a Yankee fan, but just from a baseball fan perspective, I think this is going to be a really good series. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Everyone talks about how bad the 2020 draft was. That was a Gase year. Did Gase have any input on all those players, or was it all JD? I'm still going to stand on the hill and say James Morgan was 1,000% a Gase pick. A Jake Asman fan says, how many wins now, Matt? Has it changed? Yeah, my prediction before the year was 8 wins, 8 and 9. I think with how they're playing right now, I'm comfortable enough to say that 9 wins should now be the expectation. When you look at this schedule, I think you could find another 5 wins. They're 4-2 right now, so you would have to go 5-6 the rest of the way to get to 9. I think you could get even 10 is not like 10-7 is definitely a realistic option now too. I think anything like 7 or 8 wins at that point, which I think before the season everyone would have signed up for, that's not enough now after this start. You got to get me up to that 9 or 10 win mark. I love it. Shane, I hope you are right, my man. Says Zach Wilson, 350 yards, 4 touchdowns against the Broncos. Put that on your calendar. That'd be amazing, but I would say probably pretty unlikely after, we went through how good the Broncos defense was a little earlier. Lawrence Hobson joins us, says, I'm late, Matt. What's going on? Let's get this W against the Broncos this weekend. Thank you for hanging. I think the Jets can beat the Broncos. Zach says, Zach Wilson had a big year 3 in BYU. Maybe year 3 is when he puts it together. Think so. I wanted him to take a step forward this past year, and so far he has. Year 1, rough. His touchdown passes still need to go up. The completion percentage has to go up, but I'm not ready to call year 2 a big failure either. I think he's going to be okay and put some more good games on the sheet before we close this thing out. Like, can we do that? Let's maybe pull up the Jets schedule quick, because there should be some opponents where I think you'd be able to have some sort of success. Okay, we're coming up to week 7. I'm going to minimize your comment just for a second, but you know what we're talking about. The next 3 games, honestly, like Denver, New England, Buffalo, I don't know if you can necessarily say that he's going to have that 300 yard performance against any of these teams. I hope he does, obviously, but I think these kind of project to be more running the ball days. Buffalo was tough, but I'd like him to look a little bit more competitive than what he did against Buffalo in the last week of the year. Then you have the Pats again. Chicago, you should be able to throw the ball on. Minnesota, you should be able to throw the ball on. Detroit, you should really be able to throw the ball on. Jacksonville, Seattle, and then Miami again. In the second half of the year, it lightens up a little bit. Obviously, Buffalo again is tough, and New England right after the bye, but 2 weeks to prepare for New England. I think you could be competitive in that game, obviously. But then the rest of the way, there's not a ton of defenses that really scare me a lot. Indiana Jets wants 11 wins. Lauren says it would be a catastrophe if we have less than 9 wins. Kyle says, hit the like button, y'all. Thank you so much. So on yesterday's video, you countered my comment saying Moore gets 2.6 yards of separation. Those are stats. How is that even compiled? Just look at the tape. Elijah Moore doesn't get separation like Wilson. It's via next gen stats. That's how it gets compiled. It's compiled by people watching it, dude. Hennessy Heisman, what's up, man? He said, did you see all experts are picking us this week? Not everyone wants to like the Jets. Shaking my head. Yeah, not surprising. Don't put us in your power rankings or pick us to win games. Keep laughing at us. I love the underdog mentality. Indiana Jets commenting on the schedule says Vikings and Lions, Zach 300 plus. I think that's the time where you could air it out a little bit. Michael Jet says Michael Clemens is playing really well. He has. He's been a factor on special teams also. Sean says the 2 Bills games are the only real tough ones left. The other games are absolutely winnable. Agree. Now, are they going to only lose 2 more games the rest of the way? I guess it's possible, but I don't know. Chris wants to know if I'd bet a solid $1,000 on the Jets this week. Nope. I don't play $1,000 units. I wouldn't. So I wouldn't. I think the Jets win. I'm fairly confident they do, but $1,000. Well, I don't know what $1,000 is to you. So, monetary way, I would say I would be comfortable putting whatever your 1 unit is on the Jets. Brian says, I feel like the YRR data for Moore is a little misleading. A lot of his routes seem like routes where he isn't meant to be targeted as a deep threat / clear out. He has speed, but that's how it's used. True. Mako guy says people are scared of Moore. That's why we're running it so well. Rico the pup says, for the love of God, they are putting Wilson in the slot because he is nasty of a route runner. Alexander shadowed him. Ultimate sign of respect. They just need to throw to Moore. That's all. Fair. Jet says, you think Salah can be a really good coach for a long time? I sure as hell hope so. He's massively improved already this year. So that's all you could really ask for right now, at least. YRR, and thank you, is yards per route run, by the way. Should have said that when I read the comment. That's my bad. Thank you for clearing it up, Bri. Did you see, this is J-Man again, did you see Q and Clemens put the slide on that guard on the blocked field goal? I did. That was impressive. That's their special teams. Brant Boyer is so damn good, man. He is incredible at what they do. Redman says Elijah Moore is too small on the outside. I think he can play on the outside, but I just think he is better in the slot. And I trust Garrett more on the outside. I know Garrett's a great route runner. Elijah's a good route runner too. But yeah, I personally would prefer to have Garrett on the outside and Elijah in the slot, but you could still design touches to Elijah, I think. Let's do a couple more in here. Brian Moore says, I think, or Brian Scantleberry, sorry, says, I think Moore gets targeted a lot this game. Denver's number 2 cornerback sucks. Their number 2 corner is, let's do a little bit of research here. Let's pull up their lineups and take a look at the numbers, how they are ranking and what they look like. Obviously, you don't want to throw at Surtain. He's over here. But Mathis, he's a 4th round rookie from this year. And obviously, he's been a little bit in the box. He's a punt returner too, so I'm assuming he has pretty good speed. Oh, snaps played on the punt return, excuse me. He's someone who plays outside, and yeah, it looks like he's struggled a little bit so far. When do you think Jermaine is coming back? Apparently, it's going to be a couple more weeks, probably. J-Man says lots of DPI. Well, that'll do it. Yeah, can we see that? Nope, I just did the same thing that I just did. Let's go back to here, and of course, I hate it always opens a new tab on here. But when you go back, it misses a lot of tackles. Coverage is going to let me scroll over. He hasn't allowed a touchdown yet. He's allowed 189 yards in 4 games. 4 penalties last week. Good Lord. Yeah, that's the one that jumps out. Denzel Mims is back. He says JFM and Sheldon Rankins are both quietly having a very good season so far. Agree. I think both have been incredibly underrated. Jet asks what website that is. This is PFF. I don't like PFF for their grades. I do like PFF for some of the statistics that they offer. And last, we'll close with this. We'll close with how they see our corners. Give me a second. Why don't I just do it like this? This is probably easier if I just searched each Gardner. Great the last couple weeks. Why does it give me the? Oh, I don't want the grade charts. Let's just give me defense. Good, very good for Sauce. Very good numbers for Sauce, and then for Reed, here we go, and pretty good numbers for Reed. Could probably be a little bit higher. The tackling, I would tend to agree with, can be an issue at times. He's missed some tackles, but DJ Reed's been great. So I think they're a little lower on Reed than I am. But there we go. Love it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Wednesday. We have a preview for tomorrow's game coming out on the channel before, and then we'll obviously get into the upcoming game on tomorrow against the Denver Broncos. Just Jets is out right now. So if you haven't seen the episode, go check that out. Once again, I am Matt O'Leary. Thanks so much for hanging out. Talk to you next time.